Ellen, you're mute. Aloha.
Aloha, Ellen here. Welcome to the 24th Annual Maui Disability Alliance Legislative Virus-Free Voter Education No Mask or Social Distance Required Forum.
This is Alohilani. Wow, Ellen, that was a mouthful. At this time, I would like to introduce co-host for today. Ellen Lundquist has been active in Maui's disability community since she first moved here, Los Angeles, in early 2000. She has chaired the Maui Disability Alliance since 2017 and notably came up with the idea of on a food back when we were able to meet in person. She was the co-leader for the self-help group, the National MS Society. She is the secretary for the Maui Independent Living Center and for the Paratransit Advisory Committee. Ellen is also involved with Maui Willers and a member of St. John's Episcopal Church in Keokea. Mahalo.
Ellen here. It is my pleasure to introduce Alohilani. Karen Alohilani Hughes Singh has been an advocate for persons with disabilities since 1982, when she became a quadriplegic wheelchair user. She is the co-founder and facilitator of the Maui Wheelers Support Group. She believes in volunteerism and currently serves as a board member with the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii and the Helea Foundation. She is a mother of 3 sons and a happy tutu of 2 mo'opuna. She loves dancing and going to concerts, the beach, sunsets, and crafting. Her motto is Be Aloha. Thank you.
All right, Ellen, we are in this together.
Ellen speaking. Yes, we rock. And there is a whole team behind us that makes this forum possible. I have Ro from Easter Seals helping me. Mahalo.
This is Alohilani. Yes, I have Pualani from Ohana Support Services here with me. We want to give some instructions early on so everyone can enjoy the forum. There is closed captioning or video transcript available. Look for closed captioning options on your video device. People who use ASL interpreters can select the 3 dots in the upper right corner of the speaker to find pin screen option. You can pin screen and the picture stays large. There are 2 ASL interpreters who will switch throughout the forum. You will need to repin after the switch. Another option is to watch using Akaku Channel 54. This year's MDA forums are being live broadcast on Akaku Channel 54, live streaming on Hawaii State Council on Developmental Disabilities Facebook page and Akaku Facebook, and live streaming on Akaku website at www.akaku.org. Mahalo.
Ellen speaking. Nearly 25 years ago, the Hawaii State Council on Developmental Disabilities hosted a gathering of guests and individuals with developmental disabilities to talk story with legislators about the needs of their community. This took place at the Maui State Building. Over time, the realization that while people with disabilities have very vastly different individual needs, There is much common ground. The Maui Disability Alliance. The Maui Disability Alliance was formed to harness
Ellen, you've been involved with this group for so long, and I know your emotions are coming through. You can do it. If not, I'll step in. Would you like for me to do that? The Maui Disability Alliance was formed to harness the common ground for people with disabilities in Maui County. The Maui Disability Alliance, MDA, represents agencies, organizations, and individuals who value the contributions people with disabilities make to the Maui community. Candidates, thank you for participating this year as we host virtual forums. The community has sent in questions for you to answer to help us determine who gets our vote. Think of this as a job interview. And I think this might be one of your most important job interviews. At this time, I would like to introduce Pualani Basbas, a longtime member of MDA Planning Committee, who will be giving today's blessing. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Roxanne. Pualani, can you say the blessing from where you're at? I'm not able to find you in the attendee audience.
I'm going to roll back.
Ko. Our Father in heaven, we come before thee at this time to begin our Maui Disability Alliance legislative forum meeting. We're indeed grateful for this opportunity and to be able to meet on this in this format. We're grateful for Alohilani and for Ellen for their time and their dedication. We're grateful for Roxanne and all of those that have made this possible, especially for our different organizations and agencies that have been always supportive and been here for this for Maui Disability Alliance Legislative Forum. Grateful for our candidates that are here today. We are grateful for Akaku for being here, and especially grateful for our community, especially for those that are people with disabilities, to be able to make this forum possible throughout all of these years. We're grateful for all that Thee has blessed us with, and we ask Thee at this time to bless us with Thy Spirit as we move forward. We love Thee and we say these things in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Mahalo, Pualani. This is Ellen. Now we have a very special mahalo to Chantel Rate from Halima, Maui, who is retiring after 27 years of service. Carrie has a few words to share. Mahalo.
Hi, my name is Carrie, and I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Chantel Rate. She's retiring after 27 years here at Kalima. She has spent the last 15 years as our executive director. In Chantel's time here, she has been a dedicated advocate for persons with disabilities and an inspiring leader. We are so thankful for all of her dedication and hard work throughout the years. We will miss her tremendously, and we wish her all the best in her new adventures. Thank you.
Ellen speaking. Thank you, Carrie, for sharing such a wonderful tribute to a dedicated individual. Moving on. Here are the ground rules for today's forum. Mute yourself when not talking. Remember to unmute yourself when speaking. Or getting choked up.
Keep it up.
Please say your name before speaking. Please say thank you or mahalo when you are done speaking to indicate you are finished. You'll be given a specific amount of time to answer a question. Once your time is done, you will be muted, hopefully. Candidates will alternately be called on by myself or Lohilani. Zoom audience members, you have the opportunity to participate in audience polls. Mahalo.
Alohilani here. Aloha and mahalo for being here today. We have Maui County Council candidates participating in our virtual forum. At this time, we would like for you to introduce yourself. You have 30 seconds to give us your name, district, and why you are running for Maui County Council. We will alternately call on candidates. Let's start with Gabe Johnson. Your time starts when you speak. Mahalo.
Okay. Aloha. I am Gabe Johnson. I am running for the Maui County Council Lanai seat. And the reason I am running is because I care about my community and I care about the future of my community. I'm a single father. I know the future is kind of hard right now. We have a lot of, due to the COVID pandemic, we have a lot of concern. I'm an organic farmer. I think that my platform rings true for people who need help in this troubling times. I'm going to work for the people. So mahalo, vote for Gabe Johnson.
Great, thank you, Gabe. Let's go now to, this is Ellen, and let's go now to Alberta DeJetley.
Aloha, my name is Alberta DeJetley, and I'm running for council because I think I can make a difference. I have family members with disabilities, and I'm so proud of them. I've been actively involved with Kalima o Maui in the past, and I just love them. I have a lot of disabled friends, and I know that I can help them and make a difference in their lives. Thank you so much. Mahalo.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Let's go to Tamara Paulton.
Aloha Maui Kakou. My name is Tamara Paulton, and I'm running for the Maui County Council West Maui District seat. I'm running to continue the work that we've been doing on the Maui County Council and, facilitate meetings in a way that is balanced, fair, transparent, and inclusive of everyone in our community. I really appreciate the opportunity to focus on the health and safety of our community. And moving forward, I would like to increase accessibility to everyone, including the Disability Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Rick Nava.
Aloha, I am Rick Nava running for the West Maui County Council seat. I am running for office because as a business owner, I believe it's time for us to look at what's happening in our community, our economy. I'm also a proud veteran of 29 years. And I believe, again, as someone in the business and as a community leader, that I can make a difference in our community. Thank you very much. Aloha.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Let's go to Claire Kamalu Carroll.
Aloha, this is Claire Kamalu Carroll from Hana, and I'm running for East Maui County Council seat. The reason I'm running for council is to look out for our community. In this pandemic, I have nothing but so much love for my community. I have been food distributing, doing kupuna care, which I do shopping and essential needs for them. But to make the movement, I have a father who has been disabled since 1979. He has been part of our family, and to have compassion for our disability community and stand up for your rights and able to have accessibility.
Thank you, Claire. Let's go now to Shane Sinensi.
I'm from East Maui. I've been a special education teacher for 20 years. And so I've advocated for children with disabilities during that time. Children with disabilities possess an array of skills.
I'm sorry, Shane. Shane, we really can't hear you.
And challenges. And during this COVID time, I want to continue to advocate for children with disabilities.
I think we're having some technical
They have
difficulties.
access.
Maybe we can go back to Shane after.
Internet
This is Alohilani speaking.
accessibility,
How are
no
we
barriers.
doing, Kaku? We're getting a little bit of feedback.
This is Roxanne.
Appropriate.
Shane, can you hear us? You're
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
You're
Hello?
echoing, Shane. So stay muted.
I hear you, Roxanne.
We're going to come back to you if that's okay with everybody. Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce, this is Alohilani speaking. I'd like to introduce Tasha Kama. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Tasha Kama, and I'm running for the Kahului seat. And I'm running to continue the work that I have started on the council to be able to decrease homelessness to increase housing opportunities for all of our people, especially our local people, and to ensure that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are able to achieve their full potential. And that's what my work on the council is doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tasha. Let's go now to Carol Lee Kamikona. Let's try going to...
Hey, Kalamai, my screen went black. This is Carol Lee Kamikona. I'm running for the Kahului District for Maui County Council. And the reason why I am running is because this COVID-19 pandemic has showed us that Maui needs to diversify. I do not want to return to pre-COVID, and I would like to do the best I can for the total residency of Maui Nui. That includes Molokai and Lanai and the island of Maui. It all for all residents. So mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Let's go to Kiani Rollins Fernandez.
Aloha mai kako. I'm Kiani Rollins Fernandez, and I'm your current Maui County Council Vice Chair and Chair of the Economic Development and Budget Committee, as well as a residency, Molokai Residency District. It's been an honor to serve everyone and advocate for everyone of all abilities. Mahalo for this forum this evening.
Thank you. Let's go on to Stacy Helm Crivello.
Ellen Roxanne here. I don't think Stacy joined us tonight.
Whoops, I'm sorry. Let's go on to...
This is Alohilani. Why don't we go, let's go to Mike Molina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Molina, running for the Makawao Haiku Paia seat. And the reason I'm running for office again is I appreciate working with our citizens and addressing the many concerns that are out there. And if I'm reelected, I will continue my commitment to address the needs of our citizens with disabilities. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mike. Now we'll go to Asia Iyer.
Aloha, I am Asia Iyer, and I am running for the Makawao Haiku Paia seat. And I decided to run for county council because I want to help realize greater efficiency in our county's operations. And I seek a greater health and accessibility for our residents and within our economy and in our environment. Mahalo.
Thank you, Asia. Let's finish up with Tom Cook.
Aloha, my name is Tom Cook. I'm a candidate for the South Maui County Council seat. I am running for office. I'm a senior citizen now, and I have 5 children, 4 grandchildren. I believe that we are caretakers of the island and not owners. I hope that my experience as a builder and an employer and a worker will enable me to get affordable housing and infrastructure built. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Ellen here. Thank you, all the candidates. All right, audience, it is your turn. We would like to poll the Zoom audience. Have you decided who will get your vote for the 7 open Maui County Council seats? The options are yes or undecided. Please choose now, and we'll give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the poll is closed. And here are the results. Remember, candidates, your answers today may decide who gets your vote. Mahalo.
Alohilani speaking. Candidates, here is your first question. What experiences do you have with people who have disabilities? And how will that assist you with addressing our specific need? Let's start with Kiani Rollins Fernandez. You have 45 seconds. Your time starts when you speak. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Kiani Rollins Fernandez. Mahalo for this first question. So my experience with those with different abilities in the community has been advocating on behalf of the Maui Disabilities Alliance in seeking ways to craft policy that will ensure benefit to everyone in our community, particularly those who are differently abled. And ensuring that funding is there for those who need services such as paratransit and hello.
Thank you. Let's hear now from Tom Cook.
Aloha. Thank you for the question. My experience has been I worked with Kalima Maui extensively in the past. I contracted and built the warehouse in the back. My children's mother, Kathleen Figueroa, worked at Kalima for quite a while. I spent a lot of time down there. I was also a Kukua consulting contractor for ARC Maui for the Molokai 8 project. And I just want to say that those experiences have given me a great deal of compassion for people with disabilities, the spirit that they show. So I am pleased to be here, and I am hopeful to be of service to everybody in our community, and the disabled are the need and deserve additional attention. Thank you.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Next is Tamara Paulton.
Aloha, my name is Tamara Paulton, and of my experiences with people with disabilities, my top two that I would like to share are in my former career as an ocean safety officer, we would do the kayaking with the children who had disabilities, and they would we would take them out and put them into the kayak, and sometimes give them rides on the jet ski. And also my experience working in South Maui compared to West Maui, where Kalima does the bathrooms. And I would always say, you know, I wish we had Kalima o Maui in West Maui, because the bathrooms in South Maui were so much nicer than the bathrooms in West Maui. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Rick Nava.
Aloha, this is Rick Nava. My experience with Kalima Maui actually was when I was the rear detachment officer for the U.S. Army Reserve. And they used to come into the Army Reserve unit in Wailuku, and I would work with all the wonderful workers who was hard workers. They're all smile, and we always had a lot of fun just interacting with each other. So I did that for, I believe it was 18 months. So I got to know them personally. Recently, I've been working around on Front Street, talking with a lot of the homeless people who's got mental disability, and that's a whole different story, of course, but nevertheless, I'm learning more and more of the people who have their mental disability, that they also need help from all of us. But going back to Kalima Maui, I believe that was a great experience for me for 18 months working with them, and the wonderful job that they do working in the Army Reserve facility. Thank you.
Alohilani here. Let's go with Gabe Johnson, please.
Aloha, I'm Gabe Johnson, and my first job ever, when I was in 8th grade, I worked at a nursing home where I started to learn about compassion and helping out people. That was only when I was about 12 or 13 years old. Some of you may remember me in my time on the Americans with Disabilities Act as a county commissioner, in which I helped for Lanai people to get buses and handicapped stalls and handicapped restrooms. It was a big part of my grassroots beginnings. So aloha. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go now to Alberta DeGently.
Aloha, this is Alberta DeGently. My sister, Trudy Morita, was deaf from a childhood illness that she had when she was about 1.5 years old. And she has two beautiful daughters that are also deaf. And they all went to, Trudy packed them up and took them over to Maryland to go to the Maryland School for the Deaf, where she became a teacher. And my two nieces now have master's degrees. So my thing with disabilities is you can take a disability and do whatever it is in life you want to do. So I'd like to give people with disabilities the resources to develop themselves to the fullest potential. When my sister lived on Maui, she worked at Kalima o Maui with Darby Skull. So I just love them. Thank you.
Aloha. Claire Kamalu Carroll, you're next.
Aloha, this is Kamalu. My experience with disability has been years ending. My father was, he got into an accident in 1979, which put him in a wheelchair. My uncle, Gerard Dahe, he was with Kalima o Maui, is to empower our disabled community and make them stronger and support them any way we can. Paying attention to buildings that need to be upgraded, ramps, and making sure our sector of disabled community is well taken care of and thought of no less than anyone else. I support the disabled community, not only from years past, but for the future, to make it more positive and support anything you may need. Mahalo.
Thank you. Now we checked the sound before, and let's see if it's working now. With Shane. Yeah, say something.
Can you hear me, Ellen?
Oh,
It's not good quality. Can you say something else?
Can you hear me now?
It seems a little bit better.
Can you hear me now?
You can hear him. I think so.
Okay, I'll try and speak slowly. Okay. I've been,
So unfortunately, unfortunately,
the East Maui County
Hey,
candidate.
Jane, this is Roxanne. I'm gonna, can you just wait a second? Something, Jane, something that might help is if you turned off,
For children with disabilities.
Jane, if you turn off your camera, we might be able to hear you better. This is Roxanne.
My video? Okay, can you hear me now, Roxanne?
Yeah, little better.
Is that better? Okay, real quickly, Shane Sinensi from East Maui. I've been a special needs teacher for 20 years and an advocate for children with disabilities. Children with disabilities possess an array of skill sets, but also challenges. And during this COVID pandemic, I'd like to continue to advocate that as we transition to virtual learning, the students with disabilities have access to internet accessibility, and that there are no barriers to them receiving a free and appropriate education. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Pasha Kama, you're next. Tasha, you're muted. Unmute yourself, please.
My experience with persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities has been the birth of my daughter with Down syndrome over 30 years ago. And from that time, I've advocated for those with disabilities. I also brought the 0 to 3 program here in the early 90s, the Hawaii Early Intervention Coordinating Council. In between then and now, I sat on the interview committee to hire Roxanne, who I hope you're all happy with today at Easter Seals, but also as a member of the Developmental Disabilities Council member that I most recently sat on, advocating once again for persons with intellectual as well as developmental disabilities. And that is my relationship, my experience with this population. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you?
Can I say something, Ellen?
Sorry, let's
sorry.
go to Carol Lee Kamekona.
Aloha, Carolee Kamikona here. First off, I would like to say that a disability doesn't necessarily have to be one that's visually physical. I myself have a disability that is not physical, so you cannot see it. So I do get questioned a lot with regards to why I park in the handicap stall. My experience with disability, my grandmother hanai'd a person with Down syndrome. And so I was raised with her, and I was raised with having to malama her and be able to have the patience necessary in order to provide for what it was that she needed. So on behalf of all those with disabilities, whether it be physical or not, I would kokua you in any way possible to provide whatever necessary. Mahalo.
Aloha, Alohilani here. Next, we'd like to go to Mike Molina, please.
Hello, I'm Mike Molina. My experience with citizens who have had disabilities. I was a former public school teacher, and I was privileged to work with students who had special needs. And it inspired me to continue to advocate to ensure that our schools were ADA compliant and that all of our students were given the equal opportunity towards the use of technical aids and equipment, as well as inclusive education and training. And that was a stepping stone for me as to why I would continue my advocacy for our citizens with disabilities and to provide my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go now to Asia Iyer.
Aloha, this is Asia Iyer. My husband was hit by a car that left him with mobility disabilities. When I married him, that definitely opened my eyes to how we need to make sure that everything is accessible, not just for people walking, but for all forms of mobility. But most recently, I've worked in the school district as an educator, specifically with children with learning disabilities. And I concur with Mike, that's taught me a lot about how we need to make sure that all of our materials, our information, and our technology is accessible, it's understandable. And I think the county could also do better with making sure their materials that they send out are always just readily understood by people of all capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen here. Now I would like to invite Travis Urianza, the legislative liaison for the Hawaii Self-Advocacy Advisory Council, to ask a question. Mahalo. Is Travis with it? Oh, wait. He's going to be audio only, asking a question over the phone. Well, I actually know, because I've got some inside information, that he was going to ask a question about the MDA and what we focus on, which are 6 different areas, which are employment, transportation, healthcare, education, accessible and affordable housing, and mental wellness. He wanted to know what would the candidates do to improve one or more of these areas for people with disabilities. For example,
thank you, Ellen. I'm here. For example, I am a paratransit rider and currently take advantage of a grant through MEO to assist me with paying for this service. There is a reduced fare for seniors, but not for people with disabilities. Would you support an income-based reduced bus pass? Mahalo.
Thank you, Travis. Sorry I took over some of your questions. So let's start with Asia Iyer.
Hello, this is Asia Iyer, and I would like to see the county with housing make that affordable rentals more available, making sure that we also develop within our derelict urban areas so that it's accessible areas, that they're people with from all walks of life are able to find housing in our already developed areas. I'd also like to see more social workers available countywide, especially in our housing areas, and make those accessible to people who are not necessarily on the watch list of people that are in need of social help, but reaching out to people that haven't sought those services before.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Mike Molina.
Thank you. And I can agree with Asia. There's certainly a need for accessible and adaptable housing for our citizens with disabilities. And on top of that, I would continue to advocate in terms of looking at a reduced rate for ridership on our buses, because this is, we need to take traffic off the road. And if there's ways we can help our citizens who have disabilities that may be on limited income, I think we certainly need to take a look at that, and especially in light of the economic climate we live in right now. So for myself, I would consider it a priority to see what we can do to find a reduced ridership rate for our citizens with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Let's go to Carol Lee Kamekona.
Aloha, Carolee Kamikona here. And most definitely, to answer Travis's question, I would advocate for a reduced pass. If not reduced, then a free pass. I believe that it should be based on income, and it doesn't necessarily need to be based on age. So a disability can affect anyone at any age. And if there's an age where it's a minor, then it should be afforded to the caregiver also. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Tasha Kama, please.
I want to talk about something that's been in the disability community for a while now. It's the issue of dental, knowing that children over the age of 18, they get emergency medical through Medicaid, which actually means that they'll clean your teeth twice a year, and anything after that is an extraction, which means that we have a lot of our adults with developmental disabilities walking around with no teeth because of extractions. My work over the past couple of years has been to advocate for better Medicaid reimbursements for dental procedures for persons with developmental disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Tasha. Let's, it worked a little better without your camera, Shane. Let's go to Shane Sinensi. Thank you.
Aloha, Ellen. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, I'm wanting to push the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and that citizens with disabilities can cast their ballot early, they're able to mark their ballot digit early voting. They're able to vote and overall electronic vote. The issues.
Aloha, Alohilani. Next is
Right.
Claire Kamalu Carroll.
Thank you.
Aloha. I worked for Gami Home Care for 11 years. There's two things that I've heard from clients. That one was the accessibility and the needs on getting rides to their appointment. Some of them have to wait for hours just for someone to come pick them up. We need to improve the transportation among Maui County for our special needs. And also housing. It's very hard to find housing that is adequate for someone who is disabled. We need to put out some funds or grants to make sure that we can take care of our disabled community to have adequate housing and also the transportation. Mahalo.
Thank you. Let's go now to Tom Cook.
Thank you. Tom Cook here. I would definitely be supportive of a reduced rate, and I would advocate that do a query to identify how much financial impact it would have to the county if we provided free transportation for the disabled. There again, if we could afford it, I think it would be good. But being able to get even shopping and just out into the general public, it also would heighten people's awareness of the disabled, and the interaction, I think, would be constructive for our society. As a builder, one of the things we could do is basically identify and have free plans that show when you're building a new house where you can put backing in case you need future needs. And thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Let's go now to Rick Nava.
Hello, everyone. I am Rick Nava. I will definitely advocate for the reduced rate for our public transportation. The other thing that I really would like to see is to have better bus shelters, especially to accommodate again our disabled population. Perhaps even a better bus schedule. As I've always told people, the hotel's work schedule is from 1 to 9, 2 to 10, or 3 to 11 in the evening. I'd like to see the bus services to run till 12 o'clock in the morning. And definitely the other thing I really would like to see is to have our pedestrians, better signage, better lighting, because it's so hard sometimes when you see a person on a wheelchair crossing a crosswalk. So definitely I will advocate for that. Thank you very much.
Aloha. Thank you. This is Alohilani. Next is Tamara Paulton.
Thank you, Alohilani. My name is Tamara Paulton. I definitely support a reduced rate for paratransit and bus passes. This past term, I voted in favor of the visibility standards, and unfortunately that didn't pass. One thing I think that we can do is just make it more inclusive, like in the movie industry, where we seem to be promoting on Maui nowadays, to get more people with disabilities highlighted in the movie industry, and more people with disabilities working in the county, and just not really separate it, but just be more inclusive. Thank you.
Next, let's go to Alberta Djetley.
Aloha, this is Alberta DiJetli. I had a young friend on Lanai who was disabled and in a wheelchair, and he was socially isolated. I liked everything on the list, but what I want to concentrate on is mental wellness, because I think people with disabilities need to have a social life. And after we arranged for him to have a place to live on Maui, he was so happy because he had friends who were in wheelchairs and he would meet up with them. And I think it's really, really important that they be the best that they can be. So I would be a strong advocate for mental wellness programs, and maybe the idea of a companion dog, for if they were able to care for a dog, to have somebody else in their lives besides just their family.
Let's go now. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Keani Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Ellen. This is Keani Rollins Fernandez. Mahalo, Travis, for your question and your call, inviting me to participate in tonight's forum. To answer your question first, yes, I would support an income-based bus pass for the paratransit. We are also working on transit-oriented development to help those be more connected when we're developing housing. I advocated for video conferencing for council meetings and our committee meetings so that everyone would have access to testifying and to watching us during the meeting. I support visibility, wider doorways, ramps for housing, and for mental health. I put into the budget funding for mental health for suicide prevention and created a commission on healing solutions for homelessness to address some of these issues. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Gabe Johnson.
Aloha, I'm Gabe Johnson, and yes, I am a full supporter of making the buses accessible and free and cheap. And the way we do that is by expanding our consumer base. So more buses running on shorter time, longer routes. You can get the fundings from the federal government. They have a lot of initiatives in making our transportation greener. I think the idea of having the American with Disability Act Commission to speak up to the council and we move it on to a legislative package to the state is a great way to get things that are the big picture things, the housing, the healthcare, all those things that help people with disabilities. Mahalo.
This is Alohilani speaking. The next question we have is, the state of Hawaii has $325 million to spend by December 30th, 2020. How would you like to see that money spent and on who? Let's start with Tom Cook. You have 45 seconds. Your time starts when you speak. And let's make sure everybody is muted. Mahalo.
Hello, this is Tom Cook. I'm glad you asked that question. I think that's a very, very relevant in this time. I would like to see that money spent for all of the distributed throughout the state of Hawaii to be in support principally of the people who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own, who are having challenges and almost in crisis with housing, utilities, their credit getting damaged. And so I would like it to be used, spent in full, and used as judiciously and equally as possible. And I'm hopeful that the state will start doing that promptly, because this is the beginning of October and the end of the year is right around the corner. Thank you for the question. Aloha.
Thanks. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Alberta DiJetli.
Aloha, this is Alberta DiJetli. So many people have been struggling through this pandemic. They're unemployed. They don't have enough money to pay for the rent. We need to concentrate on keeping a roof over everyone's head. And we need to really, really assist people who are in need of food. I would like to see part of this money spent on affordable housing for people with disabilities so that we start really building houses and units for that are wheelchair accessible, bathrooms will be accessible. We just have so many needs, but the main priority right now is keeping a roof over everyone's head. Thank you very much. Mahalo.
Aloha. This is Alohilani. Next is Gabe Johnson. Excuse me.
Aloha, I'm Gabe Johnson. And yes, the COVID money is really important in helping out those who are on the fringes of our communities. We need to help them. I time and time again in these times of COVID or any kind of trouble, we tend to help out big businesses. I think if when I'm elected, we're gonna pivot and start helping out people who are in need. If we always bail out the big business, it's time to bail out our working folk in our communities. So that's where I think the money should go to. I also think, I'm a farmer and I like the idea of these food drives. They should continue. Let's keep on feeding the people. Healthy communities mean healthy families, mean healthy people. Mahalo.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go next to Asia Iyer.
Aloha, this is Asia. This is a great question, and it's something that I've been pondering a lot. I agree with Gabe that we need to see help. We need to help where there's the pukas, where there are these people that are living on the edges that are not helped by the other programs that are available. I also think we need to look at a little bit longer term, like over the next 18 months, because unless we can get the economy kickstarted, we're going to also see enormous disparity even in the middle class and with our workers. So I see an opening to increase health education, health spending, getting health to be a stronger industry here on Maui, and getting more of those positions filled, getting more training available. Thank you.
Alohilani here. Next is Mike Molina.
Mike Molina here, and I think that for me, a lot of these monies should be geared toward the economy. And why I say that is, one, the monies need to provide relief for businesses, create job training programs during this time, because if we rebuild our economy and diversify it as well, it'll generate that tax revenue needed to fund a lot of our programs, which includes the needs of our disabled community. And also the topic of housing, which we spoke of earlier. So not only accessible and adaptable housing, but attainable housing for the majority of our citizens who cannot afford these 500,000 or more houses, which are sometimes defined as affordable. So that's the area I would primarily focus on first, strengthening and diversifying the economy, get our economy back on its feet, bring in the revenue so that it can be divvied up and spent on the much needed programs. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Rick Nava.
Aloha, this is Rick Nava. We got 3 more months to use this money, and I believe we should get this money out as soon as possible to the people of Maui County through the unemployment. We also need to start looking into this and helping our small businesses, because as Mike Molina said earlier, the economy is what we really need to start boosting up. Without our economy, revitalizing our economy, I am afraid we're going to go right back into a deeper end as far as getting our, getting up people to work again. However, right now we need our people to start to be able to pay for their rent, to be able to pay for their mortgage, of course, for their food. And then, of course, the economy, our small businesses, they need help as well, because there's a lot of providers there who is basically
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Next, Tamar Paulton.
Thank you, Alohilani. This is Tamara Paulton, and I agree with much of what everyone was saying. I think, I'm really disappointed with the state. When we shut down, that was the time to be making the plan to spend this money, and it should have been rolled out already. To have a pandemic and then to open up with a health crisis and an economic crisis is just it's really disappointing. And I think that what we need is a plan to reopen safely and to really take care of the health, safety, and mental well-being of our people, their immediate needs for shelter and food, and also look forward to the type of tourism that we want to see that highlights our authentic culture, that shares that with the visitors, that shares our nice environment with people, and does it in a
Thank you, Tamara. This is Ellen. So we've been having a lot of audio problems with Shane Sinensi. So we could go to him, but don't turn your camera off so we can at least see your face, even if we can't
you hear
hear
me?
you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Mahalo for the question. So yeah, I mean, oftentimes our citizens with disabilities are the ones that experience discrimination, whether it be housing and in healthcare and in our social environment. So I think we need to put and make sure with this CARES Act that our citizens with disabilities do not fall short of these fundings. To continue to restore the U.S. Postal Service so that our citizens continue to receive their medications. Also, the paratransit, that the hours are not cut short, and that our citizens with disabilities can enjoy recreation just as well as our regular citizens do. Also, for the elections, drop off and curbside voting for.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Claire Kamalu Carroll.
Aloha, this is Kamalu. I've been working with Project Ho'omana. I'm very grateful for the monies that we have been advocating for. Farmers Union working with our community. When it comes to disability, we have already implemented taking care of folks who cannot come to the farmers market to collect food. So there's our job as citizens to speak out, ask, have that open communication with administration, which has proved to be successful in getting things done. But reaching out to the disability so that we don't make it a burden for them to come to us, but for us to come to them. I totally support that. We actually only have 2 months left due to getting the paperwork in so we can get that refund. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Kiani Rollins Fernandez.
Hello, Alohilani. Aloha, this is Kiani Rollins Fernandez. And I will echo a lot of what was said already. The first things are essential needs: food, making sure that people remain in their houses through rental and mortgage assistance, healthcare, mental health support. Right now it's a very stressful time, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of everyone's mental health, especially with the financial stress. Supporting our small businesses, providing job training for more sustainable industries, education in services, how everyone will be able to access our services, and opening our economy safely and investing in food security now.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Carol Lee Kamekona.
Aloha, Carol Lee Kamekona here. I kako a lot of what has already been said. I agree that we need to jumpstart our economy. And in order to do that, I believe that we should stress job training and re-education. We need to not only make sure that the houses are adaptable for those with disabilities, but also businesses. I am very disappointed in the way things are happening right now, as I was with a friend who has a physical disability, who had to utilize the facilities and was unable to because there was no facility available to that person. And so I'm very frustrated in how the state has handled this whole COVID. And I agree with Gabe, we need to keep the food drives going. So.
Aloha. This is Alohilani. Next is Tasha Kama.
Aloha, my name is Tasha Kama, and if I had my way, I would distribute that 325 million across every island and allow all the councils to determine how they're going to redistribute those dollars. I think the fastest way to get money out is to be able to give it to nonprofits because they are the closest to the ground that we know. They don't have a lot of the bureaucratic red tape that counties and that the state has to go through. So I would give it to Maui, to the nonprofits and allow them to identify the needs, and they probably already have. And that's what my plan would be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen here. Candidates, you may know that 1 in 5 Americans is affected by mental health conditions. Maui has a lack of services to serve those in need of mental health services. Based on that information, what steps would you take to get more assistance for those citizens in need of help? Let's start with Shane Sinensi.
Mahalo, Ellen, for the question. And as I had stated earlier, our citizens with disabilities need to have access to all of those public services that are out there for them. And so by cutting funding for transportation and hours to access all of these different services, then we cut short our citizens being able to recreate, to enjoy the environment. And so I think getting out and having those services more readily available for our citizens with disabilities, that will definitely help with our mental health, our general mental health, and getting them out into the environment. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Claire Kamalu Carroll.
Mahalo for the question. First of all, in this election year, we need to be careful of what we're voting for if it'll cost our taxpayers more dollars and take away from services that are much needed. We need to support mental health and get out as a community to assure that funding is there. We're going to be shortfalled with less tourists or visitors to supplement. So we need to make sure voting does something to support our community and our residents without having it cost more. Mahalo.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Kiani Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo for that question, Alohilani. This is Kiani Rollins Fernandez, and supporting mental health issues is something that's really important to me. Our island, Molokai, suffered too many losses to suicide. And I think working with Mental Health America, with Danielle Rajan, working together to ensure that funding remains in the budget to support that important work. Working with our high schoolers. I also advocated and funded for the police department to have an on-staff clinical psychologist to support mental health with our police officers. And federal funding has come in to ensure that our kupuna are being lonely. So I will be a strong advocate. Mahalo.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Carol Lee Kamekona.
Aloha, Carol Lee Kamekona here. I would look to advocate for federal and state programs that would help to provide education with regards to mental health. There's a lot of things that we need to improve on as far as the county goes. And I agree with what Kamalu said, is we need to reach out to our citizens with disabilities. We don't need to expect them to come to us. And I think a way to possibly help with that is to maybe modify work hours and have availability of people 24/7 for the different issues that are dealing with mental health. So mahalo for that.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Tasha Kama.
Aloha, my name is Tasha Kama. And when I think about all the questions that we're answering tonight, the first thing I think about is how my daughter thinks, how she acts, and how she feels towards things. I believe with all my heart that as human beings, there's one thing that we all need, and we all need friends. We all need people that we know love us and care about us and are concerned about us. And in these challenging times, sometimes all it takes is just one of us to reach out to each other and how we behave toward each other, how we treat each other. And those are the methods that I think help us to stay healthy personally and helps us to help others to stay well mentally. But I think through it all, that what we're doing really now right here is we're all holding on to each other. We're all holding hands and we're all trying to help each other and raise each other up. For me, it's personal.
Thank you. Let's go on now to Tom Cook.
Thank you. Tom Cook here. I'm an advocate of continuing to be very supportive of Maui's nonprofits. I think that our community gets they can leverage out the funds that we issue to them, the public funds, much more efficiently because, as other people have said, there's less red tape. Also, the day-to-day interaction with the people who are in need, they're more in tune and of what the actual needs are instead of the perceived needs. I would encourage the County of Maui to be more unified in our request to the state to provide adequate health support. And so that's how I feel. Mental health, a smile goes a long ways and doesn't cost anything. Aloha.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Alberta DeJetley.
Aloha, this is Alberta DeJetley. Because we're such a small island, when crisis happens on this island, we are at a loss. But I want to give out a shout out to the Lanai Police Department. I have seen them in action so many times where instead of looking away, they look toward a person who is having a mental health crisis. They're so compassionate and so together on how they treat people having a mental crisis. When you see someone having a breakdown, what do you do? Do you look away and walk away? Or do you go up to that person and say, brother, sister, you need help? You okay? Can you just do that and extend your hand in love and friendship to assist that person instead of walking away? And I think our police officers in Maui Department, and all through Maui County, I've seen them in action and I've seen them working with the mentally disabled and mental crises people.
Mahalo, this is Alohilani. Next is Gabe Johnson.
Aloha, I'm Gabe Johnson. I have a three-tiered approach to approaching mental illness. And the first thing is we need to help fund our social workers. They're overpaid, or they're overworked and underpaid, and we need more of them. So we can write that in a legislative package to the state and ask for more funds and help them out. The other thing is we got to fight poverty. Poverty is a root cause of so much of our trauma. And we can do that through diversifying our economy. We can go over all the many ways, but help fighting poverty is huge. The last thing is the county can do a really good job with PSAs, public service announcements. We can talk about that. having a public service announcement is really good for counties. That's what they're good at doing. So those are my 3 approaches to helping out people with mental health issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go now to Asia Iyer.
Aloha, this is Asia Iyer. I want to echo Gabe in that we need to invest in social workers, and in long term, we need to look at our healthcare both as an industry and as an opportunity for our community to help the overall health, and especially with mental health. That means that we look more at prenatal care, we look more at education, we look at long term what is going to promote better mental health for our community. In the short term, in the near term, I see more work with caseworkers, social workers, clinical psychologists, and the police working together, addressing those that are both visible mental health issues and those who are not visible, those with non-visible mental health issues.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Next is Mike Molina.
This is Mike Molina. It's been said the stress of COVID-19 can be just as deadly as the disease itself, as we've seen a rise in the need for mental health services. First thing I would do is make sure we network with the mental health service organizations to see where the greatest needs are, and also include faith-based groups that can do a lot of outreach and counseling assistance for those who are in a lot of stress and need. And then as far as the funding, seek matching federal and state funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go now to Rick Nava.
Aloha, this is Rick Nava. I would like to see a bigger presence of the mental health kokua here in West Maui. I know also, of course, the funding will be very tough, so definitely I will work hard to make sure that we can get fundings also from the state and federal. But I believe part of the solution is within us. I heard someone say earlier, be a friend, a smile, being compassionate to some of our friends who's got this mental health problem. And we're reaching out to the homeless population here in Lahaina. It makes a big difference when you talk to these people and by just calling them by their first name, their eyes really lit up. And just that in itself alone, I think will make a big difference. So this is where we can help. Yes, we might not have the funding, but we can make a difference individually. Thank you very much.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Next is Tamara Paulton.
Thank you, Alohilani. My name is Tamara Paulton, and I agree that the state needs to do more to fund mental health in all the islands. When we advocated for the Lahaina Clean and Safe program, a big problem of it was that there wasn't a mental health component that we have in Lahaina. And also, when you have these programs, whether you have the funding or not, you need to have service providers, and we're sorely lacking in that here in Maui County. So I think what we need to do as well is ensure that we will have psychologists, psychiatrists, and social workers by funding scholarships with retention in Maui County. If you come back and work in Maui County for a set number of years, then you don't have to pay back the schooling fees. Thank you.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani speaking. Now we're going to do a poll. We're going to poll our audience again. Let's check in with our audience one last time. Did you find the forum helpful? Answer 1, yes or no. 2, do you feel better informed? 1, yes. 2, no. Zoom audience, please respond to this poll, to the poll questions. Hawaii is mailing ballots to every registered voter. Maui County ballots are being mailed October 8th. Voter registration deadline is October 5th. Election day is on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. All ballots must be received by the clerk's office no later than 7 p.m. on election day. Go to www.elections.hawaii.gov for more information. And the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We've closed the poll. And here are the results. Yes, 100%. Did you find the forum helpful? Do you feel better informed? Yes, 100%. So mahalo for being here. We really appreciate that.
Ellen here. Okay, candidate, tell us one more time why we should vote for you. You have 20 seconds. Your time starts when you begin to speak. Let's start with Tasha Kama.
Aloha, I'm Tasha Kama. I really think that I deserve your vote because I care more about you than you ever will know. I've been in the disabilities community since the birth of my daughter for 30 years, and I continue to stay actively engaged and always thinking about you and what more I can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go now to Carol Lee Kamekona.
Aloha, my name is Carol Lee Kamikona, running for the Kahului District. I ask humbly for your support and your vote because I know what a disability is and I know what kinds of looks and what kinds of sneering you can get because it's not a physical disability. And I will advocate on behalf of you and be your voice for everything that is provided, whether it be housing, education.
Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Mike Molina.
First, I'd like to thank you, Alohilani and Ellen, for this opportunity, as well as our viewing audience for this wonderful forum. I will continue to promote open and responsive government. I listen to all points of view, and I'll respect whatever you have to say, whether we disagree or not. I humbly ask for your vote. Mahalo.
Thank you. Let's go now to Asia Iyer.
Aloha, this is Asia Iyer, and I would do a great job in the county council. I love to listen. I actively care for the community, and I have a lot of really great ideas to help our county run better and for us all to enjoy a better life here in our islands. Thank you so much.
Mahalo. Aloha, this is Alohilani. Next is Kiani Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo Alohilani. This is Kiani Rollins Fernandez. I want to thank the Maui Disabilities Alliance and everyone watching for this forum. I'm really happy to see that it was informative and helpful to everyone watching. I humbly ask for your vote for re-election. I believe that I can stand on my track record of being a strong advocate.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Next is Claire Kamalu Carroll.
Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much for inviting us to this forum. I'd just like to let you know that I have worked hard throughout these years to serve my community. With disabilities and other sectors of Maui County, it is important to me to continue my community service to Maui no ka oi, Lanai, and Molokai. Vote for Claire Kamalu Carroll.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Shane Sinensi.
Aloha, Ellen, and mahalo to you, Alohilani, Roxanne, and the Maui Disabilities Alliance. Thank you for inviting us here. If I am reelected for a second term, I'll continue my advocacy for special needs and for citizens with disabilities, that they make sure that ADA mandates are upheld, especially during this COVID time, and as we transition. Mahalo nui.
Whoops, sorry. This is Ellen. Let's go now to Tom Cook.
Tom Cook here. I humbly ask you for your vote for the South Maui County Council seat for the Maui County Council. I am running because I'm a senior citizen. I feel I have a lot to offer after my last 50 years, and I want to represent for my 5 children, my 4 grandchildren, your children, your grandchildren, and to keep our island lifestyle. Aloha.
Mahalo. Aloha. This is Alohilani. Next is Marpalton.
Thank you, Alohilani. My name is Tamara Paulton. I'm running for West Maui County Council, and I'm asking for your vote based on my track record of votes in favor of visitability standards and paratransit. I'm a voting member on all of the committees and the chair of the Planning and Sustainable Land Use Committee. And with the knowledge and experience and network that I've gained in the past 2 years, I know that I can do so much more in the coming two. Mahalo.
Thank you. This is Ellen. Let's go to Rick Nava.
Aloha, this is Rick Nava. Again, mahalo for inviting us this evening. You can count on me to be your voice and will advocate for you. And I humbly ask that you vote for me, Rick Nava, to serve you once I'm in the council. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo. This is Alohilani. Next, it's Gabe Johnson.
Aloha, I'm Gabe Johnson, and I humbly ask for your vote in the upcoming election. I just wanted to take a quick time to talk about universal design, how much I'm a supporter of it. The things that help people with disabilities also help everyone else. I think it's a great way to look at things and look at solutions to problems. Remember, whatever district you're in, you can vote for every council seat. I'm Gabe Johnson. I live on Lanai. Vote if you live in Kahului, vote for me, any district. Aloha.
Thank you, Gabe. Last but certainly not least, Alberta DeJetley.
Aloha, this is Alberta DeJetley. All I can say is that if I am elected to the council, I will be totally accessible to every resident of Maui, Molokai, or Lanai. I've lived on all 3 islands. I have a long history of being in community service. And if you need help, I will lift up my hand to help you. Please, I humbly ask for your vote.
Aloha. This is Alohilani speaking. Mahalo candidates for participating in our first virtual forum. We have asked you some very important questions that will help us determine who gets our vote. Everyone, please remember to vote. Use your power. Do it. Mahalo.
Ellen here.
Thank you.
Mahalo to all.
Mahalo. Thank you.
Great job.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank
Aloha.
Have Alohilani and Ellen.
Alohilani and Ellen.
Thank you.
Mahalo to all the
Mahalo to all
MDA
the
Fellow
members.
candidates, fellow candidates.
Planets.
Thank you.
Mahalo, MDA. Mahalo,
Good
Bye.
night, everyone. Thank you for
Bye.
coming.
Good night,
Aloha.
Aloha.
Night.
Mariho candidates.
Aloha.
Say hello to me if you see me.
Definitely. Aloha and a hui ho.
We hope.
Nice job, Aloha, Ellen.
Aloha. Bye.
I just wanted to say you guys did an amazing job. Really well done. You know, the presidential debate could really learn a lot from you folks.
Kako okiari kako.
This is our first forum, and it's been interesting. We're going to have another one next week, Wednesday.